Alrighty, so today we are going to finish up the review for match week number 26, and I forgot to mention that this is, of course, the last match week before we have the All-Star game that's going to be happening on Wednesday. But this is also the video where we're going to talk about Trafico. And for those of you that don't want to hear me talk about these games and want to just jump straight into my thoughts of the latest chapter of El Trafico, there's a reason why on the description below there is a timestamp in terms of it. Just need to scroll down, click on that timestamp, and you get to hear my thoughts of another wild El Trafico that we see in the latest edition of probably the best rivalry right now in MLS. Now, let's begin with the first game, which is Dallas and St. Louis. And boy, did Dallas needed this one badly. I mean, this is probably the best that Dallas has played in quite some times. Now, granted, yes, it's against St. Louis, and St. Louis is not having a good season right now. But consider the fact that this team simply cannot win at home, and they're in the midst of a long winless run. This is definitely a great way for them to finally end their winless run. But in the first half, Harto actually shook the post from close range, as I thought St. Louis actually did well in this one. Dallas did not start it on top whatsoever in this game, which that kind of feels like the similar tale for a lot of their home games this season. Kamungo would then hits it right to Berkey, as that was Dallas' first shot before Farrington would hits it right to Berkey. Musa would then hits it right to Berkey as the flag went up, but there was no doubt that Dallas had finally woke up. They looked to try to get the opening goal. And they do, as in the 24th minute, Kayike would score his first career MLS goal from Musa and Leggett to make it 1-0 in favor of Dallas. Kamungo did look for another, but he hits it right to Berkey before Musa hits it right to Berkey in the first minute. And really, ever since Dallas kind of got off to a slow start in this one, and really since minute 10, it was all Dallas up to this point. St. Louis, they just never really looked the same after that in the first half. Berkey would then deny Romero from long range, but we do head to halftime with Dallas leading 1-0. In the second half, the post would deny Leuven from long range, so a bit of a deja vu moment for St. Louis. So inside the first 5 minutes, they hit the post. In the second half, inside the first 5 minutes of the second half, they also hit the post. Just kind of sums up the luck that St. Louis have had this season. Alvaro would then hits it right to Berkey, or no, I'm sorry, it's Alvaro hits it right to Berkey. That is before Berkey denied Kamungo after a bad turnover there from St. Louis. Dallas once again was pressing to get the second goal. Paz would deny Ostreich from close before Klaus would hit one right to Paz in the 63rd minute. And just like that, the momentum seems like it's swinging right back to St. Louis. Just as I thought maybe Dallas was going to get that second goal, now St. Louis shows some pushback. But nevertheless, in the 79th minute, Dallas finally got their much needed second goal. And when you really need a second goal to kill the game off, why not go with your leading goal scorer, Pedro Musa, having another good season this year to make it 2-0 in favor of Dallas. It was also a world class touch here to kind of bring this one down and send him in on goal as a result. Saver then looked for his first goal in his career, but missed high in the 85th minute. But he did win a penalty in the 87th minute, and he definitely celebrated like he scored a goal in this one. I don't think I've ever seen a player celebrate that much after winning a penalty, but I guess he's definitely kind of the guy that wanted the vibes for this team. But yeah, he was brought down by Orozco there, so PK goes to Dallas. Musa steps up to take the penalty. He usually does not miss from the spot, and he doesn't here, so that made it 3-0 in favor of Dallas. That was the final score of this game. The shots in this one actually dead even at 15 shots apiece, but the shots on goal tells the story. There was 10 shots on goal in this one compared to just two that St. Louis had. One shot's off target, but two that Dallas had. Three shots that was blocked for the eight that St. Louis had, and possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that Dallas has in this game. And yeah, Roman Berkey just got completely hung out to dry in this one. It was non-existent defending there from St. Louis, which has kind of been the case ever since Dave Critchley has played. And again, when you look at this team with them playing a little bit more attacking style, it's no surprise that they're starting to give up more goals. And again, as I said before, yes, Olaf Melber, that he definitely has not done a great job with St. Louis doing his short tenure. But can you blame the fact that he actually wasn't that completely wrong? The fact that he decided to go super defensive, consider how rickety this team can be when they play a more attacking brand of soccer. The defense is definitely going to be a thing that St. Louis will have to address this offseason. But like I said, for Dallas, this is a much needed win. And right now, when you look at the West and the playoff race, it's actually pretty tight. It's actually getting very interesting right now. I believe besides St. Louis and the Galaxy, all the teams that is near the bottom of the standings. They're still within in touching distance. There's like a 5 point gap between 13 all the way up to ninth place, which is the final playoff spot. So yeah, it could be very interesting as we head deeper into the season. And again, this is kind of the time when I start talking about playoffs because this is the time where it's really starting to become crunch time, especially with the All Star break finish in Austin on Wednesday. But with that being said, moving on in the next match is Nashville and Toronto. So this was a game that Nashville kind of got an introduction of what Toronto can bring. Where again, this is a TFC side that yes, they're not getting the resorts at times in their game, but I think they play very well under Robin Fraser. They've been a team that has just been a nightmare to play against, and again, Nashville kind of found Al in this one with the way that they didn't really create too many chances against this rigid TFC side, and I say that, but they did had a couple of chances to bury this game, especially late in this one when I think maybe TFC started to run out of gas. But in the first half, not much really happened early in this one, typical for a Toronto FC game. Dominguez would put it wide as that was the game first shot. The shots were 3-0 for Toronto early on, so it was not a great start for Nashville in this one. Again, after a big win that they had in the last game, you just wondered did they maybe take TFC lightly in this one? And I think a lot of teams are kind of taking TFC lightly, kind of had that false sense of belief that, oh, they're not doing very well this season. This is going to be an easy win, right? Well, not really lately. If you look at how Toronto has been played, they've been giving the teams a tough time to try to beat them. The first shot, the game for Nashville did see Palacio heads it wide from close, but then the 28th minute, Sturridge would get the breakthrough. So yeah, this was actually a great save there from Johnson to deny Mukhtar, but Surge was in the right place in the right time. He had an empty net there. Yeah, he's not going to miss from that range, especially the leading top goal scorer this season. So he buries it to make it 1-0 in favor of Nashville. He tried to make it 2-0, but his shot was clear off the line in the 40th minute. But we do head to halftime with Nashville leading 1-0. In the second half, Zimmerman flashed one wide on the header, and just like the first half, not much really happened, at least in the beginning of the second half as well. Again, Toronto, even though they're down 1-0, they're going to continue to try to play rigid. They might open themselves up a little bit late to trying to get themselves a point, but they're going to continue to play rigid defense. And Nashville was having a tough time in terms of breaking things down. Though it looked like they win a penalty in the box there for Nashville, but they did go on the replay to see whether or not Zimmerman brought down Kerr in the box. It was not the case, so no penalty was given. Long would then heads it wide on the ensuing free kick. Or actually, I'm sorry, this actually happened outside the box. So there was a penalty. Or not, there was a foul that was given, but there was no penalty because this happened outside the box. So actually, ignore what I said that there was no penalty. I mean, there was no penalty, but there was a foul outside the box. Anyway, Longwood heads it wide on the ensuing free kick before everybody started to get confused of what I'm trying to say. Spicer was in on goal, but it was clear off the line in the 71st minute. Again, Toronto, this is what they do. Like they survive for long as possible, but then when things are starting to happen and when they get later in the game, they're going to take more risks and trying to get themselves the equalizer. Long would then heads it wide from close before Mukhtar looked to get his second goal of the game, but was absolutely robbed by Sean Johnson in the 79th minute. And even though Johnson made a great save here, that is one that Mukhtar should bury, and one that yeah, you wonder if Nashville is going to regret not holding on or not getting the second goal and have to hold on to this 1-0 lead. Johnson would then deny Muro in the near post before Surridge would miss a free header in the back post. Yeah, that is one you usually do not see Sam Surridge miss very often. Bunbury would then puts it wide from long range. Nashville was pressing hard to kill this game off, but the fact that the lack of finishing that they've shown in this game is that going to come back to haunt them because it only takes one chance for Toronto to tie the game up, and that change came in the 6 minute start time when Corbin just flashed it wide from long range. I mean, that was a rocket of a shot from field. Corbin just missed the target there, almost an equalizing goal and a statement result for this TFC side. Again, this is a team that I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this season. I mean, they're still way far but behind in terms of the playoff race. But this is definitely a team that I don't think anyone want to face when you have playoff hopes or even some seeding hope with aspiration down the stretch, because this is a team that's going to frustrate the hell out of you and play these kind of close games, even if they end up on a losing resort in this one. And yeah, Nashville kind of found this out in this one, but still Nashville, as we have seen this season, even when they do face again these kind of opponent, they still are able to get the 3 points because that's what they do at home. And the shots in this one, 10 shots for the 8 that TFC had, 1 shot on goal for the 5 that Nashville has, 2 shots off target for the 5 that Toronto has, 3 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Nashville has. In possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Toronto has in this game. Now, moving on, in the next one, it's Cincinnati and RSL. So, despite the fact that this was also a 1-0 result, this time in favor of the roadside, this was actually a very entertaining game. I mean, this was one of those games where it looked like both of these teams just couldn't find their shooting boots in this one. But in the end, Cincinnati finally found it in the 87 minutes. And yeah, for RSL, they will feel like they got hard done in this one. They really played well in this one, but just not quite find that clinical finishing that they were looking for in this one. But in the first half, 8 minutes in, the first shot of the game, see Evander missed wide from long range before he missed wide from long range again in the 10th minute. A couple of half chances for Cincinnati, but not much really happened, at least early in this one. Either shots were only 2-0 25 minutes in. The third shot of the game and the first shot for RSL did see Caliscan. Long range effort was denied by Salatano, but it was always a chance to try to bury it on the rebound, but he puts it right to Salatano in the 28th minute. Valenzuela would then miss wide from close before Pio would hit it over from long range. Despite a couple of chances for both of these teams, we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, it was kind of more the same story, except probably even more chances that was coming for both ends. It started with Engel miss wide from close range before Cabral denied Bear on the doorstep of goal. Imagine if Corey Bear actually scored in this one. I think he's gonna have some mixed feelings. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna celebrate, especially this is the club that kind of gave him the chance. I'm talking about RSL that is of really spring of his career. But Cincinnati was definitely starting well. They were now looking for the opener goal. Bearwood hits it right to Cabral in the 55th minute before Ojeda puts it just high from long range in the 56th minute. Saltano then deny Luna from close range before he hits it right to Saltano in the 61st minute. RSL says not so fast in this one because as much as Cincinnati started well in this one, RSL quickly took the momentum back. Now they were the one that were pressing for the opener goal. Saltano would then deny Agata from close in the 67th minute before Gozo will put it wide on the curler. Gonzalez then flashed one just wide from long range. RSL was pounding on the door. Like ever since the around the 57-minute mark, they were putting a ton of pressure on the Cincinnati team. But now the question is, can they show that clinical finishing to make it 1-0? Well, Russell tried to do so, but he hits it right to Saltano. But then in the 87th minute, completely against the run of play, Lucas Orellano would score. He scored from Anunga to make it 1-0 in favor of Cincinnati. It was an absolute banger there from Lucas Orellano. Definitely a contention for goal of the week, but one that is an absolute heartbreaker for RSL. I mean, again, they play very well in this one. They had their moments to get the 1-0 lead, and yet they still had another chance in the first minute of stoppage time as Luna looked to try to get the respawn. He went beast mode there and actually went on the bike here, but he hits it right to Sautano before RSL. So as I mentioned, they were pressing hard late to get the equalizer. Cincinnati was just holding on for dear life, trying to seal off a big victory on the road. And they do exactly that. They win 1-0 in this one. The shots in this one very even. 17 shots compared to 15 that Cincinnati had. 7 shots on goal compared to 4 that Cincy had. 6 shots off target for the 4 that RSL had. 6 shots that was blocked for the 5 that Cincinnati has. And possession-wise, 57% possession compared to the 43% possession that Cincinnati has in this one. Big win for Cincinnati in this one. Consider RSL has really played well lately. And I think this result, even on with the loss, I don't think RSL fans are going to be that concerned. I mean, maybe they'll be concerned the fact that this is kind of like one of those games where we've seen this before, where at the Riot, they're the better team. They have more of the chances, but aren't able to put the chances away and come up on the losing end. But they've been playing very well in these last couple of weeks, and now if they can actually get the signings that they need and get the reinforcement that they desperately needed, this is a team that I think could be a dark horse heading down the stretch, especially if they get the signing right, especially on the attacking end. This is a team that I think could definitely make some noise. That not a lot of people thought that was going to be the case, especially how the beginning of the season was when they were pretty much looked like they were dead and buried in the beginning of the season. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is the top of the table clash between San Diego and Vancouver, and I gotta say, I really want to see this playoff match show between both of these teams, because last time when both of these teams play, it was a 5-3 furler that we see. Now in this game, it wasn't anything thing like that. It wasn't anywhere close in terms of the goal scoring that happened, but just the entertainment factor that both of these teams were going on the attack, and this was really the game of missed chances, and also both goalkeeper making some big save as well. Because if it wasn't for that, we were probably going to in for another 5-3 kind of result with that way how entertaining this game has been. It was also kind of at times very back and forth too as well. Now in the first half, White was in on goal here, and he actually rounds the keeper. It looked like this was 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps, because anytime when Brian White rounds the keeper, has an empty net, he's gonna bury it because of how good this season has been. But he doesn't. He missed the empty net there. This wouldn't be the last time we will talk about that moment that White has from an empty net. But definitely a nervy moment for this back line for San Diego. This was a very young, inexperienced back line that Mikey Veras have started. And one thing about Mikey Veras is that this season he's not afraid in terms of changing things up. He has tinkered a lot this season, and for the most part, it has paid off. I mean, some might say that it might be a little bit risky to do so, but if it's paid off for the most of the season, I mean, yeah, it's you got to give him credit. And well, early on, you can see this inexperienced back line. They definitely had some nervy moment in this one. Laborda would then heads it wide from close. I thought Vancouver started well in this game as they were looking for the opener goal. Veselinovic would then puts it wide from close, and then Sabi will puts it high from long range. The shots were 4-0 for Vancouver, so this was all Vancouver early in this one. It would change though. In the 24th minute, Takuoka would deny Dwyer from close before Delatorre puts it just high from long range. As San Diego seems like they woke up. I mean, they definitely did not start on time in this top of the table clash in the West, but now they were pressing to try to get the opener goal. Takuoka would deny Lozano after a bad giveaway from Vancouver. But then on the other end, Cincinnati would deny Ocampo after San Diego themselves turned the ball over as well. And all of a sudden, both of these back line there started to become a little bit too loose at the back, started to chalk up the ball too much at the back. But nevertheless, in the 40th minute, we do finally see the opening goal in this top of the table clash. It's Dua, the one that unfortunately scored an own goal here. Cincinnati actually made an incredible save here to rob Ocampo here, but unfortunately, when Laborda tried to shoot this one, it was actually on target. It actually ricocheted off of Dua. He know nothing about it. So it's one of those unfortunate own goal there, but nevertheless, Vancouver will take it. They leave it 1-0 heading into the second half. In the second half, Dua did look to make amends for his own goal, but he missed wide on the header. I thought San Diego start off well. They were pushing to try to get the equalizer. There was a shout for a penalty for San Diego, but instead, they actually gave the foul happen outside the box in that moment. For Taco would puts this one wide from the corner. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. Actually, I wrote this wrong, didn't I? Here, yeah, I definitely wrote this wrong here, because there's no way the goalkeeper should be the one that heads it wide from the corner. Anyway, just ignore that kind of mistake there. San Diego again continue to knock on the door, but will this pressure finally pay off with a goal up to this point? Well, instead of that, in the 76th minute, White had a chance to really bury this game for Vancouver, as he was around the keeper again, once again have an empty net, and he missed. I mean, this is something that, I mean, one time that happened to Brian White, that's kind of unusual, but to happen it twice in this game, that was very unlike Brian White. I mean, that is what you would have bet your house both times that he would bury this one, and that would actually come back to be costly for Vancouver, and certainly for Brian White, because just a couple of minutes after his second horror miss, Ian Belcher would score his first career MLS goal to tie the game up at one apiece. So that's got to be a backbreaker for Vancouver. They look like a couple of minutes ready to get all 3 points with that second crucial goal, and now all of a sudden it's tied up at one apiece. Lozano would then miss wide from close before Takoga denied Verskov from the corner. Momentum was with San Diego. They were hungry to not just satisfied with this point. They were pressing hard to get this second goal. Vancouver is just kind of hanging on for dear life and are on the rope. Dwyer had a free kick that goes right to Takaoka before Ciciega actually denied Rios on the front post as the full-time whistle was sounding. That was a big save for Ciciega as well, because Rios found himself in a good spot here. But yeah, what a way to cap off of a very entertaining game. And again, it's a shame the fact that I'm pretty sure not many people really watched this one, because everybody was focused on El Trafico, and this is also the reason why I wish this game was actually separated in a different window besides El Trafico, because you can't have El Trafico and the top of the table clash on the same window. That just it feels a very big disservice, especially toward this matchup, because obviously without Trafico, everybody's gonna watch it. But to put it on the same time as the top of the table clash, especially with the way that both of these top of the table clash in the Western Conference has been relatively entertaining. I hope that not only we see it again in the playoffs, and I hope we do because I feel like the neutral should get a chance to watch this matchup. These are two teams that, I know both of these teams weren't expected to be the top two teams in the beginning of the season, but after this matchup, I think we kind of saw why exactly these two teams are and that I won't be surprised if we'll see a matchup like this in the playoffs, maybe even a preview of the Western Conference final as well. Though again, it doesn't always work that way, as I mentioned. It's not going to be all the time where we see a 1v2 matchup in the Western Conference final. But with that being said, I am now going to switch boards and now look at the last two games, including the game that I'm pretty sure everybody's been waiting for me to talk about, and that of course is El Trafico. So now moving on, before we talk about El Trafico, we'll talk about another game that I'm pretty sure not many people watch, unless you're a Portland Timbers fan or Minnesota. Is this one where it ended in a 1-1 draw, and this was a game that it feels like a very Minnesota game, isn't it? One of the biggest frustration with me about the Loons this season, and this has been a thing for the past years, closing out games. They have had a tough time closing out games for the past couple of years. This season, I will say it has gone a little bit better, although it feels like it's kind of still the same. Where there's a reason why I invented that term road heave mode. Road heave mode is derived from Adrian Heath decided to just kind of bunker and pray and hope for the best to try to get all 3 points. And more times or not, that doesn't work for this Minnesota team. Guess what they did in this game? They tried to do the same thing as well. So to no one's surprise, it didn't work either in this game, especially with the way that this is the fifth game in like 15 days for this Loon side. I am not surprised that Eric Ramsey saw eventually blow it late. I mean, I kind of saw it coming as the time winds down, and when that did happen, I wasn't even that disappointed. I knew you can't be disappointed of something that you kind of saw coming. But in the first half, Mora with the game's first shot, but he missed wide there before the first shot of the game for the Loon. See, Longwane hits it right to Crepeau. Not much really happened, at least in the first 15 minutes of this game. Only one shot for both of these teams. Paredes would then miss wide from long range before Rosales puts it wide from long range. Crepeau then denied Pereira in the box as both of these teams were exchanging some chances. But the question is, who can get that opener? But in the 38th minute, it looked like a penalty was given to Minnesota. It looked like it was a foul in the box, but then when they go to VAR, they said that there potentially could have been a handball in the box. I didn't really see the handball there, so I guess it probably was the right call. The fact that they decided to deem that as no handball in the box. Pereira would then puts it high from close in the 40th minute before he puts it high again from long range. He was definitely in a shooting mood in this one, Joaquin Pereira. He's usually a guy that is a known for that. He's more known for his passing, but yeah, he's definitely was in the shooting mood in this one. Mora would then hits it right to Dane St. Clair in the second minute of stoppage time, but we do head to halftime with the score scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Diaz would hits one right to Crepeau before Ole Shai would puts it high from long range. Minnesota definitely start the better side in the second half, but now it's about whether or not if they can finish their chances. And I even wrote it's a big if because I've seen this story before with them having chances. And this season, it's kind of been inconsistent. I mean, there's been times where I've seen this team have a lot of chances, they don't put it away, but then I've seen times where they've been clinical in terms of their finishing. So this feels like it's one of those games where they weren't being clinical in front of goal. Sermon would then hits it wide from close before Moreno puts it high. Or he hits it right to Dane Sinclair in the 66th minute. Then he missed wide from close in the 73rd minute. Once it's again looks like the Timbers were looking to try to get this opening goal, but instead in the 77th minute, Minnesota gets the opening goal. It's Anthony Marcani. He continued his career goal scoring in year here. He scored from Gresso to make it 1-0 in favor of Minnesota. And just to know, I wonder is this actually Anthony Marcanic or his twin brother acting in charge? Because we talked about before with the twin brother Marcanic, it's usually Nick the one that is actually the more lethal goal scorer, especially with him winning the Golden Boot last year with Charleston Battery. But now it seems like it seems like his brother might have passed the torch to him as well. Because man, what a career year it's been for Mark Koenig. This is by far the best year that he's ever had, especially on the goal scoring front. Smith did look to respond, but he missed one in the 81st minute before Yoboa puts it wide on the header. Moreno then puts it one right to Dane Sinclair, and then Crepeau denied Ole Shai from close range. Once again, both of these teams were exchanging some chances. There was a lot of this. There was not really at one moment in this game where you saw the momentum was heavily in favor of each other. It was kind of back and forth at at time. Zuparic then heads it wide from close in the 86th minute before Fernandez missed one just wide on the header, and this is when I'm thinking, yep, feels like the Loons are in road heave mode again, and this usually doesn't bode well. I mean, I just kind of had a sense that, yeah, with the way that at times this team has had their issue of conceding goal late. I wonder how this is going to happen. Well, before that, the post would deny Muscura from close in the 90th minute, but then in the second minute of stoppage time, to no one's surprise, the Timbers would get the equalizer. It's Fernandez scoring from Muscura here to tie the game up at one apiece. One Muscura was a big part of this Timber side. He was a huge impact for this Timber side late in this one. But yeah, I saw that one coming. I'm not even that surprised that goal went in because this is the problem for this team, not just this season, but really going back to the Adrian Heath era where they just have times where they just decide to go rogue Hemo, thinking that just hang on for dear life is gonna be the way to get 3 points, and more times than not, it just doesn't happen. But at the same time, yeah, just lazy defending there from the Loons. Completely left Fernandez unmarked there in the back post. And then Sermon tried to win it late in this one, but he heads it just wide from the corner. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota would find a way to lose this game as well, because that's just how it is at times. But in the end, it does end in a 1-1 draw in this one. The shots in this one, 16 shots for the 15 that the Timbers had, 4 shots on goal for the 6 that Minnesota has, 5 shots off target for the 9 that the Timbers had, no shots as blocked for the 4 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 64% possession compared to the 36% possession that Minnesota has in this game. And you would think that maybe the Timbers getting that late equalizer would be more of the happier side, but again, this is a team that they still have only won once ever since the restart of MLS season from the Club World Cup break. The struggle is still on this Portland Timber side, and for Minnesota, it's pretty obvious why they're not going to be happy with this. I mean, anytime when you drop points late in the game, especially in stoppage time, it doesn't matter if you're the home or road team, it's always going to be feeling like a loss. And again, I know this hasn't happened as much as we have seen last season. I mean, there was one season where it just pretty much happened every single game, and it just drives me absolutely nuts. It still at times kind of drives me a little nuts to see this team have their problem in terms of closing out games, and that's going to be something that I'm just hoping eventually they need to fix this, because they can't keep doing this, especially when playoff time comes. They cannot afford to keep having problems in terms of closing out game, and a big part of the reason why they have a tough time closing out games, you're not getting a lot of possession. Like as we get later into the game, the other team just go at Minnesota from gun ho. This is also where again getting that D mid in the summer transfer window, especially a DP elite level D mid that can control the game, is huge for this Minnesota team. I'm really hoping that is the case, because if this team has aspiration of winning MLS Cup or even be a contender in the Western Conference, they still need that piece. That feels like it's the missing piece of this team. If they get that piece, I think this is a team that can definitely compete. But until then, I mean, I think it will still be a good season, but I still feel like it's just going to be like previous season. They'll probably maybe win 1 or 2 playoff game, but I don't think they're going to go too deep, especially the model that they're running right now, and especially the issue continue with them having tough time in terms of closing out games in the last 15 minutes or so. Now, moving on into the game that I'm pretty sure everybody's been looking for me to talk about, and that of course is El Trafico. And as the old saying goes, I mean, El Trafico never ceased to amaze that it doesn't disappoint. I mean, it feels like this is a very typical El Trafico game where chaos is the name of the game, and that meme where Einstein pretty much put absolute cinema in it. It's pretty much like every El Trafico, and you might as well put that meme in this game as well, especially what we saw in the second half. Now, in the first half, Ordas with the first shot of this game, but he puts it wide before. I thought the Galaxy had most of the possession, as LAFC go with their usual sit back and defend and look on the counter, and I thought that was kind of what I expected. The Galaxy is a team that likes possession. LAFC, they definitely like to rely on their transitional, so it was no surprise the Galaxy had more of the possession. But despite that, there wasn't really a lot of chance early in this El Trafico, which is kind of unusual, because usually when we see El Trafico, it's pretty much gun ho from minute one, but it wasn't really kind of quite like that. That would quickly change though, because in the 26th minute, LAFC gets the opening goal of El Trafico. It's Bawanga. He scored from Holland's head to make it 1-0 in favor of LAFC. Not long after, DeRozan would score to make it 2-0. He scored from Ordaz and Delgado to make it 2-0 in this one. Both of these goals came off of lightning counterattack. That is something thing that, again, coming into this game, that was what LAFC was going to rely. They know that the Galaxy is very exposed, going on the other way on the transitional attack, and they definitely exploit the weakness. And no surprisingly, the Galaxy, they just had no answer in terms of dealing with those transitional moments. Painto did look to respond, but he was denied by Lloris. But then a penalty was given to the Galaxy after Holland's had handball this one in the box. Yeah, there was no doubt that that was a handball. It was pretty blatant. He knew it instantly as well. So here comes Gabriel Peck, a chance to get one back for the Galaxy, and he does exactly that. So just like that, it's 2-1 in this game, and just like that, I'm thinking, yep, we're going to go in for another crazy El Trafico. This is going to be another game where there's going to be at least another 2 or 3 goals before the end of tonight. Hollinshead would then look to make amends of his mistake, but he heads it right to Mikovic. But we do head to halftime with LAFC clinging on to a 2-1 lead. In the second half, Galaxy had more of the possession, just like the first half, as LAFC once again going their bread and butter, trying to sit back again and counter. Tillman would then puts it wide off of the deflection before Peck missed wide as the flag went up. LAFC definitely started to get some possession and started to control the game for the first time a little bit. Again, that's kind of something I didn't think they were expected to do, but that quickly changed because the Galaxy started to dominate the possession again. There was actually a shout for a penalty for LAFC not giving in the 63rd minute, but then the 67th minute, guess what? It's another goal coming off of a lightning counterattack. I mean, all 3 goals in this game was all goals because of the Galaxy pushing way too many men forward. They are a team that is known to play a high line, and yeah, this time Bawanga just absolutely breezed by that high line and goes in on goal. And when he goes in on goal, I mean, besides what we saw in the last game against Minnesota and even the previous game as well, he's not gonna miss those chances. So yeah, he made it 3-1 up to this point for LAFC. Now in a normal game, you think, well, that's it. LAFC should easily get this win and got this one CO in the bag. But remember, this is El Trafico, and anything normal, as we see in previous MLS games, especially the form that both of these teams, it just completely thrown out of the window. You know that this game is far from over, even at 3-1, and I'm pretty sure everyone, one including myself, know that. Yeah, the Galaxy are probably going to come back in this game, right? They also checked in an incident after this where this was a very bizarre situation where Garces actually headbutted his own teammate Peck there, and they said that whether or not if this is worthy of red, VAR says no. And I think the only reason why VAR says no in this is one, this is El Trafico. I think it would be kind of even more wacky. I mean, I know El Trafico has some very wacky thing, but this would be right up there in terms of peak wackiness of seeing a player getting sent off because he headbutt his own teammate. And there's no doubt if he does it to an opponent, that is an instant then red card. But because this happened to his own teammate, I guess the referee thought, well, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate in it, but I'm not gonna dare to give a red card, especially with how entertaining this game is. It just feels like this would kind of ruins it if this is the way that a red card is being handed out. And again, I have never seen that happen before, where a red card is being handed after their or both teammate kind of get into a bit of scrap. And this is also kind of just the frustration start to show them between players that yeah they're losing this one back lately in this game, and it's just kind of been the season for this Galaxy side as well. In the 71st minute, Fagundes would put it wide as he was looked to response. The Galaxy continued to get more of the possession. LAFC was happy to sit back and try to see out this 3-1 lead. That's a bad idea because in the 79th minute, Peck would score for the second time of the game. So yeah, Gabriel Peck, a season to forget for him, but it seems like he was definitely up for the task in this El Trafico. He scored from Royce and Painto to make it 3-2 in this one, and all I'm thinking is, yep, buckle up, boys and girls. It's El Trafico once again. We've seen this story many times before. This is gonna be a crazy ending as well. Royce would then have a shot that was deflected and goes wide. The momentum was all with the Galaxy up to this point. And again, this is where if you're LAFC, this was a wrong decision for them to just sit back and hope to see out the game, because that's rule number one when it comes to El Trafico. You do not never sit back and try to seize out a win, because more times than not when you try to do so, it's not going to go so well. And you would think LAFC probably learned from that mistake, consider they have had their history of blown leads in this rivalry, and apparently they didn't learn the same mistake in this game either. Painto would then hit it right to Lloris in the 81st minute before Lloris absolutely robbed Ramirez on the doorstep of goal there. The Galaxy was just pounding on the door. LAFC was on the rope, and I think everybody kind of knew that, yeah, it seems like the Galaxy is going to come back in this one. It doesn't feel like LAFC is going to hang on to this. But we then had some tempers really start to flare because, yeah, in a big rivalry game like that, you're going to have these kind of thing. It started with Cuevas and Martinez kind of get into each other's face, and in the middle of that melee, Segura actually got himself sent off here. He basically grabbed the throat of Fagundes there. Yeah, that is a big no-no. You don't want to do that, especially in a melee like that, especially in the day of VAR. Like, you're not gonna get away with that one, and they didn't even go to VAR for this. I think the referee saw that one clearly. So yeah, obviously Segura was down to 10 men. LAFC were down to 10 men the remaining of the game. Now, normally that wouldn't be too much of a problem because we're late in the game. It seems like teams will be able to hang on to the game, but that just adds another spice to this already crazy El Trafico that we always see. And again, in every these circumstances, every big moment can be divided when we see an El Trafico game. And guess what? That was the case again because after Yoshida heads it wide from close in the 5th minute of stoppage time, he would score in the 7 minute of stoppage time. He scored from Cuevas here to tie the game up at 3 apiece. El Trafico did it again. I mean, when I saw that, I mean, I I wasn't even surprised when that goal, of course, went in because I knew that it was going to happen. I knew LAFC wasn't going to hold on. I've seen this story before, and that, yeah, the Galaxy, they're going to treat this like it's their version of MLS Cup. I mean, with what's going on right now, this is pretty much like their MLS Cup. And even though technically they didn't win either of these meetings, they would feel like both time they beat the LAFC, especially if you're LAFC, this has got to be embarrassing. The fact that twice this season you can't get the best out of your rival. Well, and in this game, it's another one of those games where we've seen this story before. They have a big lead, thinking that things were going to go well, and how many times do I have to tell you that when you decide to bunker and try to see out a game in an El Trafico like that, more times or not, that is not going to work, and it did not work again in this one. Though that doesn't mean that LAFC was not happy. The fact that when that goal was scored, that actually happened a little bit after the minimum of seven yeah, the minimum of 7 minutes of stoppage time. Again, how many times I've said before, I don't get why fans always get upset when the time goes past. Again, there's a reason why whenever the PA announcer announced stoppage time, he mentioned the fourth official has indicated that there was a minimum of 7 minutes of stoppage time. The reason why they say the minimum of 7 minutes is they don't say 7 minutes. They said minimum of 7 minutes. So if there is something that could happen, especially with that melee that happened in stoppage time, I'm not surprised that they decided to add a little extra time because of it. I mean, it took a while for him to kind of get it sorted out. I also kind of surprised the fact that they did not maybe give LAFC one more chance after the goal, of course, was scored there. But nevertheless, yeah, the LAFC fans and certainly I think Bawanga and Trindle, they were not happy about it. They had some choice words toward the referee, and then this is also something you just don't like to see. I mean, LAFC fans, they were throwing beers and cans toward the referee. Shades of the bottle gate incident that we see with the Cleveland Browns back in the 2000 as well. Yeah, just an ugly scene, just something that you just never like to see, and it also doesn't help the fact that this is not going to make the LAFC fan base even better in terms of reputation. This fan base has had its problem with this kind of behavior, and yeah, this is just the latest of another black mark on them in terms of them just. I mean, I understand the frustration, but just throwing beers and for the referee, that is absolutely no need for an absolute ridiculous. And yeah, in the end, in this crazy El Trafico that we see, it's another free draw that we seen in this one. The shots in this one, there was not really a lot of shots in this one. So this is kind of the thing with El Trafico, with all the crazy things that's happened. I wonder that the stat keeper kind of maybe neglect some of the chances because I swear there's more than 18 shots. That was great combined for both of these teams. But that's what the league website says. 8 shots compared to 10 that the Galaxy had. 6 shots on goal for the 4 that LAFC had. 1 shot off target for the 3 that the Galaxy had. 3 shots that is blocked for the 1 the Galaxy had. And possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that LAFC has in this one. But either way, for LAFC, as disappointed as this resort is, they're just going to have to move on. I mean, this is the volatiles of El Trafico. It's just this kind of game where all the normality that we see in MLS game, it just gets thrown out the window. This is kind of the reason why we love this so much, and it's reason why it's almost like a toss up every time when both of these teams play because it doesn't really matter who is good and who is bad and where each of these team in the standings. When both of these teams play against each other, you know it's going to be a tightly contested game. You know there's going to be blown leads that is left, right, and center. And as I mentioned in the preview, we haven't seen an El Trafico that is a complete blown out. Probably besides the MLS's back tournament that we saw when LAFC won 6-2 against the Galaxy, but you kind of put a big asterisk in terms of that game because of the way that one there was no fans in the stands for that game that was playing in the soccer complex as well, and it was just kind of a weird situation in that tournament because in all these games that feature fans in the stands and then actually playing in an MLS stadium, all these El Trafico has always live up to its hype and has never been short of drama and craziness, and we saw it again in this Trafico in this latest edition. It's kind of sad that we won't see another one at least till next year because again, I don't, as much as I want to see this in the playoffs again, I don't think it's going to happen. The Galaxy, they're not going to make the playoffs this season. LAFC is going to do so. So we'll see next year in terms of what this latest chapter of the South Traffic will once again bring. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of all of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. And again, I spent a lot of time talking about this game because of the spectacular thing that happened in this one. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.